I mean, where can we point the finger of blame, Simon?
Next observation.
I mean, look, you look at it. It's almost inexcusable. The headlines in the Times this morning: £1 billion spend delivers worst start for 45 years.
Yeah. I mean, look,
£1 billion squandered.
I mean, with due respect, that's Todd Boehly's money, and he can spend what he wants. And if he's not worried about it right now, then
it's still squandered money.
Yeah, but it's his money to squander.
Yeah. He should be worried though.
No, but it's his money to squander, and we don't need to be worried for him. He can worry for himself. But what we need to look at is the reality of the spend in the summer, because there's two spends. There's a spend that maybe attributed to him and Graham Potter and circumstances of a new owner getting carried away themselves trying to buy players or buying players from Shakhtar Donetsk for £90 million at this moment in time, albeit they played better yesterday. Didn't look like they could trap a bag of cement in Woodrick. But you look at the £400 million that was spent this summer, that has to be in conjunction with Pochettino, and yet we see nothing in terms of an improvement. Yes, they are creating a lot of chances, and I think their profligacy at this moment in time belies the underlying problems that they've got, because there's still more problems than just profligacy. They're not a very good side to watch. They're not a very good side, full stop. Yeah. But I'm surprised. I think you have to look at the sum of all its parts. I mean, you cannot say that Pochettino hasn't been given an inordinate amount of resource to support him. £400 million during this summer would be most managers' absolute dream. Dream at that level, because we're not talking about, Nottingham Forest spending £150 million. As some of go, and people suggesting a lot of it was spent very poorly. We're talking about a manager that's managed at Tottenham, managed at PSG, has got lots of credentials in people's minds, coming back into Chelsea, sought after by Chelsea. Probably came in on the conditions that were very specific to him and the way that he wanted to, because Chelsea were desperate to fill that particular conundrum, which is the inability to put a decent manager in a dugout. Yeah. And yet we're still in the same place. So I have to say at this moment in time, and Martin might not like this, I am looking more towards the dugout than I am towards the boardroom. Not because that's my natural look, because ultimately Boehly has to look at the £1 billion and say, what did I achieve? What did Mashiri achieve? Right now we're hearing Martin from Chelsea fans. Martin and Neil in studio with Simon and myself. Martin, just before we go to the fans, because Chelsea, in spite of their best efforts, cannot get anything going at the moment. You heard Simon say, not because he's a former owner, but he wouldn't point the finger of blame at the owners. It would be more towards the dugout. Do you agree with that? Well, eventually the buck stops with the manager. And while players have been brought into a football club, you have to take the responsibility for those players coming in. Whether you know all the players or not is immaterial. You are the one that's responsible for working with those people. So eventually, this is it. You have to take that responsibility. And there's a question I was going to ask Simon about this very point. As an owner, just put himself into Boehly's position just at the moment. What would you be expecting? So you've given the tools to the manager to spend, or it's been spent for him, but he's in agreement with it. Yeah. What would your thoughts be on it as the owner? Would you be going in and saying, pulling him into the room and saying, listen, what is actually happening here? Is it the players? Is it you? Have we just not got a combination right? Would those are the sort of things you'd be asking this early, or would you be? No, what? I don't think so. No. I think that in my style of ownership, you'd like to be relatively close to your manager in terms of communicating on a regular basis. Yeah. So you'd already know how he was seeing things, and of course they then culminate on a performance on a weekend that either satisfies or disappoints. But I would be looking at standing back and giving him his head and giving him some rope to run with. I wouldn't be sitting here if we were still playing this way in January. I'd be sitting there saying, well, I've made the wrong decision with this manager, but I certainly wouldn't be sitting in the first couple of weeks of September or the third week of September going, it's disappointing, I can see it for myself, the team's misfiring, we're creating loads of chances, the players are clearly a work in progress, I've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. I've spent a lot of time trying to get him. I made the wrong decision with Potter. Lampard was a silly decision for whatever reason I made that, and Pochettino comes with a credential. I can't just suddenly, within 5 minutes, which is what we're talking about here, turn around and suggest that actually, oh, no, I'm going to custard pie you. You're not worth it. No, I accept that, but you did say then that you would be looking towards the bench, if that was the case. So right. In terms of blame attribution, and I don't like the blame game, right? Because I don't think it's hugely constructive. Yeah. But right now, what you've got is whether we like it or we don't, and I don't personally like it. I don't think you do, and anyone would look at it and say spending £1 billion in football transfers over 12 months is a particularly admirable thing. If that's what they want to do, like I say, we don't have to be offended on their behalf or feel sorry for them. It's Boehly's money. With that in mind, he is giving people resource. These players aren't they're not bad players. These are not bottom 5 players. These are players that should be operating at a far higher level than they currently are.
Just a bit, Simon.
So the cohesiveness of a team has to be incumbent upon a manager. And specifically, if £400 million of those players have been bought in conjunction or on behalf of Pochettino, because I would imagine Pochettino walking into the Chelsea discussions had the juice to say to the owner, I will only work within reason, within this kind of framework. I want certain assurances that I get this, certain assurances that I get that, because he was sought after. He wasn't applying for the job. He was sought after, which gave him the energy in the conversation.
But we'd never have thought this. Chelsea in 2023, 6 wins in all competition.
But I forget. I'm not interested in that discussion about that. I'm only interested in the discussion about Pochettino going forward.
Absolutely.
All that's gone before.
Yeah, but you said it's been 5 minutes. It's not been 5 minutes.
It's been 5 minutes with Pochettino.
We're about to go into October in 2023, 6 win in all competition.
Martin's asking the question in the
You're
broadest,
$1 billion down.
Martin's asking the question in the broadest strokes. What would you be doing about this manager? I can't do anything about Lampard, and I can't do anything about Potter. Those were blots on my copybook.
I wonder if any Chelsea
something different.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.